All right, it is 7:52. Without further ado, here is now the only reason why we're playing this is to show because when I first heard about this, I didn't even believe that this was actually an ESPN report. So without further ado, this is from yesterday. ESPN going in depth, inside the huddle, if you will, with the Rams. Take it away.
How is he fitting in with his Rams teammates so far?
Well, Jay, defensive tackle Kendall Langford said that Michael Sam is simply just one of the guys, and he seems to be taking a rookie approach in terms of just listening and learning at his own pace. He said that you can tell he's just trying to feel his way through and perhaps see what guys he can relate to. But another Rams defensive player told me that, quote, Sam is respecting our space, and that from his perspective, he seems to think that Michael Sam is waiting to kind of take a shower as not to make his teammates feel uncomfortable, while Langford and linebacker Alec Ogletree told me that they didn't know that specifically and also weren't tracking that. Now, while Langford told me, listen, I have not been in the shower at the same time as Michael Sam, he said that there definitely could be a million reasons as to why that is. He said he could be doing extra work on the practice field. He could be riding his bike. He could be doing extra cardio. But overall, Langford said he seems to be adjusting to the life in the NFL and the speed of the game.
There you go.
Really?
There you go.
It's so ridiculous that it's comical. It's almost like an SNL skit.
It really is. And then he went down and he bent over and he tied his shoe. And many people were thinking he bent over, which means some type of signal. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And that she was speaking so serious, like it's a news report, standing there so serious with a straight face, talking about this.
Jim, thanks. We've talked to a number of defensive teammates, and some have seen him in the shower, though they don't know why. Some think that he possibly could be doing extra cardio, maybe doing some extra work on the field, but as of now, they have not seen him in the shower. It is a Saturday Night Live skit.
It is. Shame on ESPN.
You can't parody that. There's no way to parody that.
No. It's already parodied.
How do you make a joke out of that?
I know.
That's really embarrassing.
It's almost like back in the 50s and 60s when there were black athletes who were breaking the color barrier.
Right.
And how are they? Or who are they? Are they showering in a different section? Are they staying in a different part of the hotel? How are they handling that? It's almost the same.
I don't think those stories were out there, were they?
No, but people are thinking them back then.
Right, people were thinking it, right.
Yeah.
But I don't think...
I'm just saying it's
Sporting News did a story on... but, I mean, in those stories, well, and actually, those instances, and Bob Gibson will tell you, and some of the older first generations to sort of come through, they used to be in different hotel rooms.
Yes.
They would not be allowed to room in the same hotel room. They weren't allowed to eat in the same places.
Right. But mainstream media back then did not report on that. Of course, years later, they were able to tell their stories. But
in this instance, it isn't like they're going for a meal and Michael Sam's not allowed to eat in the training room, right? This is just hey, how are other men handling him showering? And have you seen him in the shower? And what are your thoughts as you see him in the shower? Brad Thompson from 101 ESPN, somebody told me he had a funny bit where he was saying what they should have said was, former Cardinal player, should have said, oh, he was rubbing my back. It was wonderful. He brought in a rubber ducky, and it was so soothing. He had this loofah sponge, and boy, I had so many calluses on my feet, and he just helped them rub. I mean, they just should have gone crazy. I wish somebody would have asked me that question. I'm like, oh my goodness, he has this robe. Oh, it is just absolutely beautiful.
I mean, whoever came up with the idea for her to do that story and interview them,
TV better than I do. Doesn't that come from a producer?
Well, they usually have they have a meeting, a morning meeting. If it's not really if it's from a producer or maybe a manager.
Right.
And it's really up to that reporter to say, though, you know what? I don't want to do this story.
Right.
It's a ridiculous story.
I mean, a much better story is, how is he playing on the field? That's what I want to know. That's what yesterday when I was talking to Kara about all this quarterback stuff, I was asking her, what are we hearing about Michael Sam? Not, how are his showering techniques.
Right.
I want to know, what his defensive line technique is and how is he doing and what are they saying and we'll see. And I want to know if the guy's going to make the team, not how he's showering with his teammates.
Right.
Which, shame on ESPN. I'm with you. All right. Kelly Jackson here. Giving us a little insight.
I can't believe I'm talking sports.
You weren't, and doing a good job, too. St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. Here's Frank Ladd.
Thanks, McGraw. Still working with that accident, 70 eastbound before Midvers Mall Drive. Still in the left lane. Still backups to Lake St. Louis. East of there, it's a pretty good run in towards the Blanchette Bridge. Thanks to a loyal listener, Greg Kornfeld, calling in, reporting a car hood in a traffic lane northbound 270 at Olive, blocking a center lane there. The car that lost the hood is actually over on the right shoulder. Working with the crash in L141 at Marshall Road. It's heavy headed into St. Louis, eastbound on Highway 64, coming up the hill all the way into 270. Then you've got heavy stretches between Lindbergh and it looks like Big Bend now. Westbound on 64, it's a slow stretch between Kings Highway and Big Bend. Slow as well northbound on 270, remaining between 55 all the way up to 64. Southbound on 270, heavy between Olive and 64, and still heavy headed into downtown St. Louis, westbound 64, westbound 55 into downtown, then the Poplar. This update brought to you by Account Temps. Are you headed